how the Indian civilization or those roots were. You can still go into Himalayas and keep wondering of where did we come from. So it's amazing. So that's an opportunity for us. And also, any idea what is the kind of there's no scientific one number yet, but just an approximate how old could Himalayas be? And they actually call the younger mountains, by the way.
50 million.
They call the younger fold, but they are being younger. They are about 50 million years old. So you can imagine what they have seen. How many civilizations they would have seen, how many turnaround of the planet they would have seen, but they still are, standing there without making that noise. So I think that's something that I really connect with. They're just so grounded and so solid that you just go around it and is something that dawns on you. 50 million years minimum, right? And any idea of approximate the width, the breadth, how long does it span?
26,000 kilometers. 26,000 kilometers.
Yeah, almost. I think it's about 2,800 between. So some say 2,400, some say about 2,800. But in Himalayas, 2,400, 800 is like massive. And so actually the earlier Asian texts, in fact I have one pic to show you also, we don't even talk about it in history. The Indian side of it is actually from Afghanistan. So those days we had empire, it was called the Kushan Empire, which actually started from there, and the capital of Kushan Empire was Mathura. Right? And it went all the way till the Silk Route and everything. So it is actually starting all the way from Afghanistan. Again, we don't talk about that Himalayas. It goes all the way through India from Kashmir to many other parts. There are parts in Himachal, there are parts in Uttaranchal, we say, Uttarakhand, we say. Then there are parts coming through your UP, and the northeast of Himalayas is something absolutely forgotten. We just talk about it as Sikkim or as Tibet, but we don't talk about Himalayas as a stretch there. And then the Nepal side, of course, is very popular, and primarily because of the core climbing, mountaineering, and that's their very important economic activity. Ours, it's not an economic activity, but for Nepal, that's the primary economic activity around the Everest where it revolves, which is why the global attention to. And fortunately, I think Mount Kailash is something very popular with Indians, and we're looking forward to finally one route through India. Otherwise, we've always been at the mercy of the approvals and everything from everywhere. So I think right now we're at a point where suddenly the world is waking up and saying that, okay, we don't have to wait for Chinese approval, Nepali approval. India, Himalayas, we don't need anything. It's just available. And you will see pictures now in the last, so one of my first ventures into the, not like a tourist, but actually exploring the raw areas was in 2009-10 when I was part of some workshops, and we were working with militancy affected youngsters. So there are people who are on the borders, and it's like a career for them to go into that side. So we wanted to prevent that, and we used to do workshops going into those remote villages. That's where I really explored that when you climb up the mountain and go to another side, suddenly there's a village. It's not like how we go, Kanchipuram and then Chennai, it comes on the road. You have to go up, down suddenly, and like you can't imagine there'll be something like a civilization, and you go within 2 trees, suddenly there is a world inside. That started my fascination, but we picked it up in 2016 when my husband did the first All India drive. It was a exact map of India by road that he traced. Then what that part of Himalayas was, and today what it is, it's just amazing. I think we've kind of got it like the Indian Army has every part of it really made so safe. These are not regions that we can even imagine. It takes hours for us to go up or be able to take anything, and these people live there, so you'll see those bunkers and everything. You can't even make out, like it's like those tiny small things like windows to the mountain. So our soldiers have become like that. They're living in windows to the mountain, and they can see everywhere, and it's just amazing. So it's actually become safer, except few places where you need permission, even then it's safer. So we are like literally show pictures where you climb up, And from this side you climb up, this is our side, and you climb down, it's Pakistan or it's Tibet. So it's a very interesting thing to stand there and say, okay, then what is India and then what is Pakistan, because you can't make out. Right? Like it's such a, so in many ways, which is why we call our whole concept, it's not a tour or a travel. How we do for vacations, right? We book a destination and then we say, what do you want to do? So one of the first questions when somebody says, okay, what's the itinerary like? We tell them there's no itinerary. We only know we are going here. What exactly will happen that day is their plan. We have a draft plan, but that may or may not go because you just don't know when there'll be a cloud burst. You don't know. And we're not staying in, core like the typical touristy places where you have all the tourist guys. But it's amazing. A lot of times people ask, I'm 60 plus, can I do it? People ask, I have a 4-year-old, can I do it? And you have some videos and all. You see, it's the 4-year-olds who enjoy the most. It's the 60 plus who enjoy. So there's actually literally no concept of age or anything. It's just that if you know this is where the challenge is, Himalayas can be customized. Really, it's amazing to watch. There are places where you can, experience the same peak in 20 minutes, and there are places where you have to take 20 days to reach. So it's just so much variety. It's just, I think, do we have the intention to connect with a part of our world which is so much amply available in India, and yet very few of us have even tried being there because of a lot of things that our head tells us without knowing what our body can do. So it's only coming there. People have seen, we have had people who said after COVID, I don't think I can walk, I've had lung issues, blah blah. So the only thing we ask them is please consult your doctor. Don't go against, but if your doctor says it's not fatal, then just come. We've had people with plates, on the ankle, like after the surgery, where they think they can't even walk like 1 kilometer. They've done 14,000 feet. So it's amazing that once you land there, how Himalayas really have a calling to make that happen without much of like a fight or a push. So it's an interesting, and which is why we call it classroom without walls. So there's really nobody sitting there and teaching or talking, but everybody gets what they need to get. 4-year-old gets it differently, or 40-year-old gets it differently. Somebody says, oh, I just saw something about what I can do in my business. Somebody says, I got something with my relationship. So it's a very beautiful space. We just partner and bring our expertise, which is I am from the engineering and behavioral science side. So we can facilitate. We can see what is coming and help it go in a better direction. So without much of just talking, I can give you a little glimpse of. So what color is the sky when you have stars? What about you? We say that, right? Twinkle, twinkle, little stars. When you have stars in the sky, what color would they? Like how does the night sky look? Dark, and approximately is it dark blue, black, and stars?
In Chennai you can't see, that's why many of the kids will not see it.
Absolutely.
So you can see stars.
Very dark blue. There are thousands of photos because every trip we happen to take so much. But we just kind of try and interesting. Yeah. You see the colors?
Oh.
Is it really dark? It's actually pitch dark. It's pitch dark here. But when you look up and literally like the stars are drawn and you switch off so it's morning or early morning? This is night, right? This is about 11:30, 12.
No.
So galaxy what
And
is?
you can, literally, so I have a very beautiful song that goes along. I mean, it's spiritual, but it's not really necessary. Even a small child can understand. If you can, so we basically stay in tents like that. The first day and the last day is of course no tent, but after that is raw. So people think, oh, tent. But we've experimented. We've had children very young, 4 years. So we would have a tent and we'd also have like a concrete thing. And the elders would want to keep the child there. But after the first day, the children don't want to go back inside. Everybody wants to be in the tent. They feel it's far more comfortable, including in the cold. The tent is more comfortable than the concrete. It's just that, our brain tells us all these kind of things of, oh, it's going to be hard. And guess what? After the third, fourth day, even if you provide them a concrete washroom, they still want to use the world's toilet, right? Like, so it's like once you go back to the raw nature, you suddenly realize that, okay, I'm really the animal who's, oh, this is mine. Thank you. So, it's just beautiful. This is just one small example. Just one small example of, you can't even make out this is a morning or anything. And sometimes it's crazy because, you of course, some of us have this tendency to get up at night and, you're thinking of, wearing you take the lamp. So at night we always say everybody should have a headlamp. So we take the lamp and we put out and we come out and we're like, what the hell, there's so much light, right? And then you go and you see suddenly some stars which you can't imagine, like, it's, I'll show you those pictures. Certain things, can you see this? This is again night.
What is that red one?
That's a shade on the mountain. This is night.
Wow.
Now where does that shade come from? What is happening? The only thing that we know we have done is, this is your, in the tent we can hang headlamps. So your same headlamp, you hang and sleep because when you get up you don't know where it is. So we hang. So all we did was to bring that difference out. We got our headlamps on so that we can see the tent, otherwise it's dark. But you can see that shade behind. Sometimes it's purple, sometimes it's like just, if I think anybody on my Facebook, there's one video that I had put about evening, and that evening shade has got purple, pink, like all kinds of crazy colors, and that too in patches on the snow. So this is the kind of trail. I mean, just the trail and the look of these majestic size that you can't even imagine is so amazing. You can see that it's the water flow. So when you sleep at night, can you imagine how therapeutic it can be to feel like, so people get up feeling that they're sleeping on the river. Because it's just next, right? It's like flowing so beautifully. It's not like harsh where it's noisy. Initially you feel it's like, oh, there's a river. But when you start sleeping, you realize it makes you feel, even more calm. Like it's just the breeze is different. Sometimes nature can also get little tricky. It can test you. For example, in this place, when you're putting the camp on, there were strong winds. So when the winds come in, if you see the other mountain on the front is taller. So the wind will go, if it's coming at a high speed, it will go hit this and again circle back. When that happens, it's almost like everything starts to fly. So the only way that you do it is everybody grab everybody and lie down on the floor. Otherwise, the tents will be gone. So you have to sleep open. But and that sound is, that angry sound of nature is again fascinating. It's literally like how the movies show you the ooh, ha, literally all those. There are some videos of that also. So this is just one of the videos. It has some music also. This is in a stretch. Anybody knows where is the world's highest village? World's highest village? Which part of the world? World's highest village. World's highest village. One of the highest villages.
Village.
Village. Okay, world's highest post office. Pakistan. World's highest post office. Post office. Can the world's highest point have post office? Yeah. We should be really very proud. It's in India. And this video is, it takes, I said that there are certain places where you can land and reach that peak in 20 minutes. And this place, it used to take about 7 days just to reach this place. So this is a place called Comic and Sikkim, which is in Kaza stretch, which is the extreme part of Himachal. Like you just cross over and it's Tibet. Right? So this is just a small glimpse of the dry. This bridge is called the Chicham Bridge, one of the highest in the world. It took 30 years to build this. And this is built by you can see the depth. The border roads, once you go to Himalayas, you just want to really go to Rana. We've lost so many soldiers building this. But it connects two parts of the world which were disconnected. So there's a part of the world which is absolutely no connection. This is a village. This is Comic.
What's the name of the village?
Comic.
Comic.
Sikkim is where we have the highest. This is Red Fox. And this is called, the route is called the world's most treacherous road. You can see how it is. You will see the driver. This is the Ganga actually at the base. Himalayas there at the base, what you see around Ganga is just the base. And this is what border roads has done. Like you can see how the mountain has been cut. Otherwise there's no way. They've had entrepreneurs built by this driving on this road. There's one family that had come. The mother in the house is from a very orthodox family where the women are not allowed to step out and everything. But she's someone very amazing. You could see that. It starts as small as she knows how to drive. But everybody was mocking her that, these roads are not meant for women and all that. We just got her to drive and actually she did pretty well with a little bit of this thing.
Vidya, a lot of these are drone photos.
Oh yeah, this is all drone photo. This is just no
I'm
way.
really missing something, but then a lot of people say it's not very easy.
These are drone photos. We have to take special permission for it. Otherwise that top view depth, you can't. We have the regular ones also. Once she came back, she actually took over the whole institution and it today runs on autopilot. And the husband runs Silicon Valley company. This is also Gaza Stretch. So you,
These are shot by
yeah. So this is what the lady I said, her son. He was 11 that time, didn't want to go to school, and today he's going to complete engineering from MIT, all on his own like. I told you about the lady.
Oh, okay.
This is his son in the
Okay.
These are very senior leaders from Google. at least 4-5 times you would have fallen because that ice was just like that physical. So I used to tell my son, don't try, otherwise you will fall. Because by the time you finish it's down there and it's it.
So which region is this?
This is again the Gaza stretch. So you can see that on the trail there is snow. That's the most trickiest. It's called black ice. So when black ice, your vehicle can just go around, and we've had that also. This is the highest post office. This is the world's highest post office, and this is a very interesting place because for example, you saw the vehicle. We parked the vehicle. We were about 3-4 vehicles, and everybody wanted to send out postcards from there for their loved ones. So they all had planned for 30-40 addresses and everything. And me and my husband were smiling, saying, "Okay, let's see how many they actually are able to send." And they came there with so much list of who all they want to send and everything. You get down from the car and from let's say this is the door to that side, maybe a little bit double of this. That's it. So you see it and you say, "Oh wow, post office." You get down and you start walking. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and you're still walking. You're nowhere close. And then people are, "Let's go back." But somehow they drag the altitude is like that.
What is the altitude here?
This is about 17,000-18,000 feet, around that. And by the time they really reach there, it's not a big distance, but the altitude and the kind of temperature drop and everything. This part of Himalaya that I'm showing you is very extreme core rock. But this is not always what is needed. There are some very pleasant and nice ones also that I'll come to. But just to know the
What is the place?
Hikkim.
Sikkim?
Hikkim. 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 It's in Himachal, extreme end top. So by the time they go in, you can imagine how it feels, right? All you want to do is go inside. So they have this beautiful culture there that no matter how small or big the setup is, right? Their house, it can be, show some pictures, just a small cube. Still they will have one tandoor in between and everybody will sit around and all of them will have these beautiful carpets and cutlery. No matter how small a family or how low income, they will always have beautiful carpets and beautiful cutlery in such extreme places where things are difficult. So you go in and what do you imagine? How many of you have recently gone to a post office? When you ask for a postcard,
Vidya.
what is the kind of response? Postcard, right? Okay, even let's say you want to give a speed post. Does the person smile at you? Welcome sir, welcome sir. Right? Here, so this, right, just next to this is the door. And as soon as we go, literally everybody's banging on the door, please open, let us in. And it's just amazing to see. So when you say for me to take up that post is nothing because this, you stand there and it's open and you see a lady with a small child. She's the headmaster for that post office. Right? And immediately people's thing is, will this letter come? So we also experimented. We put it. Before we came back to Chennai, the letter was there. And so that's India for us, by the way. We talk about how we're inefficient, but when we try these things, we're like, oh my God, for a country like this, we're super efficient. Right? Including water sources, if we see, how does it go connected between places? And I think once you travel India, you cannot talk about the way we generally easily talk about. It's not an easy country, it's not an easy terrain, but our people just make it amazing. So you can imagine this lady opening the door with this smile. So there is a very beautiful, their language is very beautiful. There's a very beautiful word. You're all stuck in cold and everything. And the moment you go in, Jhule ji, it's called Jhule. But the way they say it, no, Jhule, they bend and they do it, right? You suddenly feel like, those days that thing. In fact, the first thing she'll not ask you letter or what you want to do. First thing she'll tell you is please come inside, sit down. And it's all very nice, warm. You don't even ask, you first get tea. You get tea. You put the letter, you don't put the letter, it doesn't matter. And then she starts bringing, she's got fossils collected there because this is, these regions are deep buried, like you get a lot of those fossils when there is the cover going off during the summers a little bit, not too much, but it does melt because these are glacier related areas. So they find these fossils, they've collected those fossils and all, and then she sends it out now. And people are like really interested after the tea to start writing. The only challenge is you open the glove and your hand starts freezing. So you write one part of the alphabet and then you're like, and then so by the time you write 3 letters, you're like, okay, I'm done. So then the only ones that you would have sent is to yourself. And it's interesting. Instead of writing letters about, hey, I'm here, including I'm talking about the 11-year-old. It's not a letter to say, hey, I'm here, how amazing. People write to someone that they want to really share. There was one gentleman, in fact, in the video also, he's a very senior lawyer. He wrote to his mother who's already passed away from there. And it's invariably after that half an hour we know this is going to take time because then they're crying and writing and they want to write all things, how the world is so beautiful, how things is like this. So people are writing all that. Sometimes they've written to a brother they've not spoken for the last 20 years and say we should come there together. I don't know what we did, but something happened. So it's interesting to watch how we think it will be versus what Himalayas actually does to us, because when things become tough, it's difficult to fake or mask and all that. The real things actually come out with a small one or an older one. So it's a beautiful space to watch. We do all that, and by the time we come down, all you want to do is just be calm and go back to the place. And it's again interesting. This is one of the. She's 4.5 inches. She's from Kerala. This is another stretch that I'll come back to. Very interesting stretch. I wanted to show you one of the families. So the pictures that I have got all kinds of stretches, right from the Bhutan, some very unexplored places, to Nepal, so this is the village that I was talking about, where you can see the village now. It's just like one peak and that's it. So it's
This
also
is the tallest village in the world.
Yeah, comic. It has a very beautiful monastery.
This is the entire village?
Yeah.
And that's it?
Yeah, that's it. And you travel so much. En route is this.
Oh.
Can you imagine how amazing? And this is, in the picture, I don't know if we make out, it's really like huge statue overseeing the whole of the range. Then sitting there, right, to reach there also is a little challenging, but just amazing how somebody would have thought it takes so much time to come, but to think that you need something like this here and make it. This is another village in the similar stretch. This village is called the Mud Valley or Pink Valley. This is where you find the snow leopards. So, and if you go inside the house, they have everything from TV to oven to everything. And how they carry it, there's no road and all that. They carry everything on the thing. So for me, the curiosity is, why should you live in this kind of a place where you boil the tea and you should keep boiling to drink it? So they drink like this. So my curiosity was literally we walked up to, I'll show you the family also. We walked up to one of these houses here. We were celebrating Christmas and we were crazy because we wanted that white and red combination. And people were, very interested. They wanted to take more pictures and all. It got really freezing. So we went into one of the homes and I knocked in. And I also wanted to know why they lived there. And I knocked in and another lady opened. And I asked her, Didi, kuch milega? And she looked at me and saying, Ek? I said, 20, like 20. And she looked at me and she looked at them and she was like, how can you suddenly knock and ask something for 20 people, right? And I thought she actually closed the doors. So I was thinking, okay, let me go. After just 1 minute, it takes a lot of time to wear the boots and shoes. So I was wearing the boots sitting outside. She opened and said, chai ki Maggie? Like, wow, like it's not the question of, she's asking which one. And I said, no, just garam pani, like hot water is enough. And she's like, no, you call everybody, but I'll need some time. I said, fair enough, no problem. So these people have no idea. They're like just imagining how they'll go back to the car. But in some time, I think about 15-20 minutes, this lady calls us back in. Can you see the house? It's just a small house. Let me just show you the house. This, can you see? Can you imagine somebody living in that kind of a place? Just suddenly being open to having anybody, and this is not once, this happens every time. I knock at 12 o'clock, so I'm called the crazy, unreasonable, people person. I can get anything done because if people are there, any time is okay. But literally it's there because I think it really tells us what human beings are. This is the house. Can you remember I told you every house, no matter how small, has this. Can you imagine that kind of cutlery setup? You will always see it in any kind of. They invest on carpet, so Diwali or anything or Christmas is about buying carpet or cutlery. So the age, the dowry is basically the cutlery. The more beautiful you give, the more you love your daughter, kind of things. So it's just amazing. Here we were, all of us, like literally, this was like Amrit, having all of that. You didn't even imagine you can get hot water and suddenly you get so much. You can see everybody's smile. It was just crazy.
No cement on the outside, but this is inside.
Yeah. Most of them, like they don't have the. So if you go to Bhutan stretch, it's the other way around. It's beautiful. Like they literally make art on their houses, including there's a place where they do go extreme on art. You will have to go like this, like they do extreme art in their things. So now the beauty of it. When we finished everything, I offered to help with cleaning. She said, no, Didi, guest hai, SNI and all that. So I said, at least, Maggie is not anything, cheap. And milk there is very, very, very difficult. So to get something with milk, and she had kind of tried a little bit of milk. No, I said, at least something. And I offered her something. She refused to take. She refused to take money. She's like, you come here and there is no shop here, so there is no way. We are the only one. This is Hamara area, like this is our place. So you come here. Now what's the next best? Can you see that child? So single mother, special child. Things couldn't have been more tough. The kind of place she lives, the kind of life she has, like it couldn't have been tougher. But the kind of heart they have, like I think I would have met them like 15 minutes. You can see how they're standing. Livelihood is. So when it melts down, they basically work with the stock, your sheep and goats and all that. So they have the ibex, the mountain goats. So sometimes those horns, they fall, those are precious. That is one. Otherwise, there is no big crop. Now there is a little bit of agriculture, but that is just enough for them. And the season is very less between July and August and all that. Not too much of meals. So for her, what she does is she goes down when the melting time is and works somewhere and comes back. Now that's an interesting part to ask. In fact, this we saw during COVID also. So I asked her, with all this difficulty, it could have been much easier to manage this child somewhere else. Why do you still stay in a place like that? She said, it's not about me just living in my comfort. I have to take care of my me. So they have a concept called that your ancestors lived there. So there is a way to give back to that place. So you have to come back, either it's 3 months, 4 months, whichever way, but you have to come back and take care of that place. Otherwise, you will lose the connection. In fact, during COVID also, there's a term for it. I'm not exactly remembering the term. Most of the people, villagers from Bihar and UP and all actually call people here and say, Bharti ka time, something like that is a B word, where they said it's the call of the land now. You have to come back to your place and get back to agriculture and all. So you would have seen a lot of people go back and regain the agricultural. So there is something that the connectivity in the native people to be associated with their land and be there.
Electricity is there.
Electricity is there. That's exactly what we're saying. So unless you go camping, those remote places also you have electricity. Everywhere. Leh Ladakh. I mean, you imagine how they've done it. Also, infrastructure is just unimaginable. So they've created a memorial again at about 17,000 feet. Full electricity. Everything is there. Some of our only extreme bunkers don't have, because they are like, if you put the wires, it will be visible. So for security reasons, otherwise I think one should really ask India how to build infrastructure, especially the BROs. You should see their, you've seen those signages, right? You see the BRO signages. It will be crazy. Can you read this? This is the bunker. This is where soldiers live for 3 months, 2 months, deputation. Can you read this? If it's visible. The land is so barren, the passes are so high, only the best of friends or fiercest of enemies visit us. The VR was like that, like our border road defense people are just extremely. So this is again one of those highest stretches. These people we always glamorize of course there's just no comparison. If there's anybody that we really call superheroes, it's the men in uniform, whether it's the Air Force, Navy or our armed forces, the army. But these guys are the unsung heroes. Because how many of you have heard of Siachen? So Siachen actually where they are showing that side on that peak is Siachen. So this road is very difficult to do. In fact, when we went also, every half an hour you will stop your vehicle because the oxygen levels is so low that the vehicle won't run. So it will get heated up and we have to stand, and that's where we met these guys. These are the unsung heroes because our armed forces basically operate with the helicopter. You land there and you're there for 6 months, and many of them end up not having memory and all of that because minus 60, minus 70 and all that is the post. But how do they eat? How do they get their supplies? It's these guys. And if you see the kind of weight, that picture is not there, we actually picked up what they were carrying. They walk all this way up.
Appa.
Right? They go there and they go there in a way that one cannot see them. And when they leave, they tell their home, I'm not sure. Because the ice can be so much, or the enemy side they can be hit. So these are the guys who are not in uniform, but they are called the transporters. So if they are not there, we cannot have our armed forces there. So this is our vehicle, PN vehicle. Okay, so this is again a very interesting place. So one of the beauties with Himalayas is not just the nature, the culture that I spoke to you about. This place where I'm standing is our Indian side. You see that side down, and that blue behind mountain is all Pakistan. So this village is called the Balti village, and it's very interesting. There's a school. So till 1970 or 1963, that school was with Pakistan, and then our forces took this side. So it is now got India. So outside everything is the Pakistan thing. Inside is run by India. And so what do they call themselves? They neither call themselves Indian, neither they call themselves Pakistan. So they call themselves Baltis. And
What they call?
Baltis. It's a very interesting one. If you can Google, you find a lot of things. And we found some very, so this is a gentleman, one of these.
Is it near Pakistan?
Yes. So this is Turtuk.
Yes.
There's the last village on that side.
Samruk.
Turtuk, after that is this if you see where we saw right side, if you go left side is the Balochistan, that stretch, the Pakistan. And houses, I'm not even sure. Again, they do everything with, they're very famous for apricots. Their gold is apricot. That's their amazing apricots they have. This is that stretch. So yeah, so if you see that stretch, right, till down is India. That mountain, so we were having dinner there, and we were suddenly seeing lights. I think this was August 15th or something around that. I don't remember the exact dates. But we were having dinner, and suddenly, so these peaks are really raw. And there were so many lights on the peak. So we called the locals and we said, why do we have lights? And all? They said, no, that's Pakistan celebrating their independence and all that. So that's the light. So it was just behind us. And we're like, oh my God, we're so close. The route, this is an interesting place in Himalayas. This is called the Virgin Himalayas. Even today, you don't have roads and you don't have any access. You don't see people for about 12, 14, 16 hours together. And this is the kind of stretch that you cross. So if you don't find anybody, and in case you find somebody, there are so many stories to tell, but if you find somebody, he'll tell you, aage jaake right. Can you imagine the right in this? So, can you see the right and left? Yeah, so this is where actually we were literally standing and saying, okay, right also looks the same, left also looks the same. Right? And So yeah, certain times the water level is so much that you can't take the car like that. So I would get down, test the waters, so as like if you're gone. So just see that you step in properly.
I'm just curious. Okay, what happens to Google Maps here?
Oh no, nothing. What will Google Maps do? In fact, there's actually literally the cold is such, your phones don't get on. So this itself, right? Car heater, we put the phone like this and take one picture. So you can see this. There's so much inside the car. This is the glacier area. This is Himachal stretch. But this picture I took because you've heard of plums, right? Plums are very famous. Now the plum tree has a speciality. If you don't pluck the plum properly, if you pluck it hard, it will not give you plums again. So the plum trees are like this, and you'll suddenly see, and it's not even like a very strong tree, by the way. Like you look at it and you'll be like, if you climb it, you will fall. Like it's just those branches are tiny, mini, and all that. Can you see those branches? This lady behind me, and I was like entering. So during COVID, we actually stayed in Himalayas. Like we took up houses in villages, and we stayed for 6 months. We worked with the locals. We worked with developing products, improving some education, a lot of different things we did. But so when I went in, this was one of the houses we took, and this had a lot of plums and broccoli and everything. And to me, 2 minutes I did not understand, because on the tree suddenly were women standing on the top holding nothing. They were only plucking, no harness, nothing. And then I asked them, why are you doing it? They said, no, plum tree, no, men are not allowed. If we do it, only we pluck it nazuk.
Soft.
You have to take it like that, like a delicate darling, only then it will give you plums better. Same for apple, in fact, is easier. This is again interesting. So we might think, what about old age home? What about orphanage coming from Rotary? Do they have such things there? This is actually an orphanage. So just to know the kind of mindset of people, this is an orphanage. So what do children do? How do they raise funds? You can see the kind of art they get into. So they raise funds by learning this art and making. You can see so there is a typical architecture, Nagar and Kinnaur and all that. They have an architecture of working with. These kids actually replicate it into models, which are being used across as showpiece kind of things. See them? They make it in this set. And this is another very interesting stretch. This is all in Uttarakhand. We've heard of Dev Bhumi and all of that. So this is not any popular temple. This is just a closed temple on one of the trek trails. So I was there in one of the other interesting places. Anybody knows where you find one of the most interesting libraries in India? Library. Most interesting library. It's this place. Anybody knows where this is? This is Missouri, our IS Academy, Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy. It's got a very interesting library because you can be from Punjab, and if you're serving the Tamil Nadu cadre, you need to know about Tamil Nadu much better than its people. So they have a center where you get expertise in terms of language, history, culture, and so the books, you can imagine, go to all length, right? So I was here, and this is the director. So I was part of the first ever group of young leaders who got trained on something called India at 75. What about India after 75? So that is one of the things we do with Himalaya Calling, is to rebrand the feel of India. Because when we generally, the first thing we did, the first 2 years, people will call and say, oh, India part of Himalayas? No. When you do Nepal, Bhutan, tell us. Because in their mind it's not safe, people just want to, steal, and they can't travel alone, especially ladies and all. But after a few of them, went back with a different version, it was like, tuck. So then sometimes it was even in a month too. So this, after finishing, I was coming back on a solo, and that is where was this. So I was exploring a trail. Can you see this mountain? This is the only mountain which has a peak, but it's called Chokamba. Chokamba means 4 corners. Can you see at the top there? It's like a 4-cornered square. So if you take a drone, it's not this way peak, it's literally got like a crown. And it's got a very beautiful lake where if you, I couldn't stay, but the locals say that if you stay back at night, so it's like the stars drop and dance on the lake. So that's why it's called the Diori Lake. Now here, while coming down, I saw this and for me it was interesting and the village is only down. So it was closed, so I waited for a little time. And then I was just standing to see, it was very, very old because it's not even carved, the kind of stones and all that are kept. And one gentleman from behind came and said, Kholu kya, you want to see? And I was like, please, definitely do it. I'll show you the video, it's on my phone, and he sent it also copy. And he opened and he said, do you believe in the power in the Himalayas? I said, of course, I can't explain, but of course I can feel it. So he said, okay, then come, let's experiment and all that. So they have, he then told me he's an army person who was serving here. And then when he went back, he had this calling to come back and open this temple. So he has a cow and only from that cow they do the Abhishekam and all that. So this is a Shiva temple. Very interesting because when he told me, he said the God is beyond logic and it's got nothing to do whether it's Shiva or whatever. So if you see the Trishul here, there is a Trishul there in front. And opposite to that is Tunganath. Tunganath is world's highest Shiva temple. It has a Trishul. This Trishul and this Trishul, from this Trishul you can actually do it will be just straight. Kind of those days I don't know what we really were like. And then he said, this is designed so beautifully. It's one of these very, very ancient temples. So if you pour milk and water, can you separate water? If you pour milk and water, can you separate water? No? Right? So I'll put it on the phone and I'll show it to you. He literally actually did that. And for me it was 2 minutes. I said, wait, let me take 2 minutes. Because he said that's the way it was built. Because this Shiva, the Shivalingam which is done, so you pour the milk from the top and then you pour the water. And then at the bottom you can take out water. Like he gives you water from that.
Oh.
So again, this is unpopular temple, no marketing, branding. You can't put it on Google or even ask the locals, they can't take you there. You have to, literally go through those kuti trails. Suddenly something will emerge. The same for Everest Base Camp. If you've heard of, there's something called Namche. Namche is like a very beautiful area in the Everest Base Camp. Really, for a full day you keep walking in the forest and you keep thinking. You try and look in different directions from the sides to see where is this village, and you don't find anything. And suddenly, between 2 trees, you take a left and you take a right, and you're like, human beings are just something else because they've literally built one of the most beautiful places there. You have waterfalls and drums which are like unimaginable. Like there's a 14-step waterfall built, man-made, designed so beautifully with the beautiful lights and that is a Everest Base Camp area where power is difficult, water is difficult. I don't know how they've done it, but again, because of the kind of effort they put, they get globally so much dollars. So a simple cake piece that can be 200 rupees can be about 800, 1,500. Water bottle can be 800 rupees there. So of course they're minting on it, but I think the kind of spirit people have is just amazing. Again, the power of innovation. So this village that I was staying in, can you guess where this is? Looks like some foreign place, right?
That bridge you crossed on that video.
This is actually, it looks like that. And for me, I was so low and I had no idea where I'm going. My driver was like, "Kahan jana hai?" I said, "Nahi, chalte jao, we'll figure out." So we landed up on this bridge and I was like, literally, I did on my Facebook, I did a video to just say that, can you imagine, this is like not even popular, suddenly in between in India, in one of the Himalayas, you have a place like this. And after I googled, I realized it's called the Tehri Dam, which is one of the highest in the world. So they have done this. So these are like all these, people from different countries. So when they come, they imagine India to be standing with begging bowls and people wanting only money, and they suddenly realize people don't want money, they want to give you things which you can't even imagine, right? So this was there. So I ended up staying in one of these villages where can you imagine like the thought process for them? Not many people come, but the aesthetics. So they say digestion starts with the way you see food. Look at the way they've, this is all done with like clay. They've added clay and all that to make the vessels, including that cooker, doesn't look just regular. So they serve it like that. I don't have a couple of other pictures. Even the hand wash they've done in such beautiful ways. Small village. I stayed there and the room is like if you press it a little hard it will fall. That's all. So this guy tells me, a very beautiful lakeside room I have given you and there is nobody there. So it's all my driver and a couple of other villagers, and so for me it was like I was sleeping, opening my eyes and saying nobody's coming right, left, all that. And so anyways, morning I got up and I said, kuch local nashta mein. So they have a herb called lenga. It's like a hook. The herb has this stem which goes round. If you Google lenga, you will realize it's so good for health in terms of it brings down your blood pressure, toxicity, everything. He gave me that and then he said, oh, you didn't go to my Lakeview side. I said, what is special? He said, I've got a beautiful swing overlooking the lake. Can you see the swing? You know what this is? This is a PVC door recycled as a swing and it overlooks the lake. We really took it. Why I wanted to show this is, the spirit of the jugaad, what we say, right? Every point kind of jugaad. Like, whatever resources we have, with that we are very happy. Whatever resources we have, with that we want to do the best. There is no concept of waste there. There are so many places to, talk about that there is just no waste. It's only us, I think we don't have the bandwidth to. I think we are also on the time part. How much time do we have?
It's 8 o'clock.
How much time do we have?
I think we are done.
Time up? Okay, do you want to see just one more?
Yes.
It's not just about Himalayas, but it's about us and life. I had a PPT, but that will go even longer. But something very interesting. Told about this one.
Yeah.
You guess.
Jatayu type. Vulture.
Wow. So we will think that's the ice. Can you actually
Vulture.
spot the ice?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah,
That
maybe.
red.
So that, and this one invariably, if it's a group of people, if you're like happy and sitting together, it will come and circle you. If you're like just not really in the mood, we can't even spot it. Every time we've had children and we've had a good time, they're always there.
What is this actually?
So these are the Himalayan eagles.
Okay.
So they're not even eagles actually, but one of the Himalayan style of eagles. Eyes are actually here.
Neck is down. Neck is down.
That's just the hump itself is so beautiful. I mean,
So-
it's just one of those creatures. There's these amazing creatures. There's something like a monkey, but it's like a mongoose.
Is it dangerous? Does it attack?
No. I mean, after you go to Himalayas, you actually wonder if animals are dangerous. We've even had the snow leopard, like from the families, where they come and they actually sit on the shade and all that. But they don't actually attack. But it's just that if, like let's say right now, even at Kaza, that highest point I showed you, they're actually having a challenge with water. They're filled with snow, but they're having a problem with water. Which means climate change is really real. At that place, if they are, then we really have those kind of situations. We have a conflict between man and woman. So this is the Kushan Empire that I was talking about. I didn't know that I was gifted these 2 coins when I got married. So I didn't know what those coins were because these things were just not in my understanding. It's only after I traveled to this side of Himalayas, that Zanskar stretch, the virgin part of Himalayas, where you don't find any human being. This stretch, with the photo you can see, there are some camels which have double hump.
Okay.
After coming back, even that time it didn't hit me. After coming back home, I was cleaning, and these are very close sentimentally from another Himalayan person I met for 2 hours, and he ended up being my Kashmiri father. And so for me, I just took it up one day to clean and everything. Suddenly it dawned on me that what I saw there is this, and then it took me to exactly. But I didn't know that time. It was only after traveling to Nubra and all that stretches when I looked up. Then we realized that it's part of that Kushan Empire, whereas Mathura was the capital, and those days it was left behind.
Kanishka was the king.
So I
What
think
camel is it?
bacterium camel, it has a double hump.
Bacteria.
Yes.
Bacteria, ऊपर
From the Magad.
Afghanistan से above कोई
Yeah.
जगह पे bacteria.
One
So
rupee
it was
India.
left behind and we still have stock because now it has tourist value, right? Like people go and say like a
In
double hump
Nubra
camel.
Valley, two people will sit and they'll.
Exactly. Again, this is an interesting thing from history. We say India was formed after 1947. This is in Turtuk, that Balti village that I showed you. They have a coin from 1907.
Oh.
So this is again from Siachen. I was not born with you. I was not raised next to you. But I will kill for you and I will be beside you. So independence is not free. In fact, this is the question that when we went to Labasna, the IS Academy, and General Panu, who is the advisor for security, he asked us on saying, how safe is India? And we said, oh, very safe. Our armed forces are amazing. They just take care of. He said, that's the biggest problem because you think it's about the soldiers guarding, but you guys are letting your phones on for everybody to enter and create all the kind of mess. So it's no more just the borders. It's actually us. So independence is not free. It's been costing us soldiers, and today it's up to us to right now pay attention to how we are handling it. Yeah, this is the place. So this Zanskar Valley, there has again a very high altitude beyond Khardungla, if you've heard. This is about 19,000 plus. And we were driving down, there was just nothing. So it's been a long time after this temple. And so we sat down, we said we'll start eating something. We've not had anything from morning. And that's when the typical Tamilian family, right? Why don't we make biryani? There's no possibility to do biryani. So, and that day was some pradosham or something, or Mahashivratri, something like that. So I said no biryani and all that, there's no possibility. So my son comes closest and says, let's do takali sana. So we started doing takali sana. This is me cooking. Takali, you can see the. And while adding the rice, I actually ended up putting a little bit more. And in my head is, why did I add more rice? Because there's not even a crow or a dog here, right? Like you can see the terrain. This is the terrain. What will be there? And I'm like, okay, so somebody will come, something will happen. And while I'm cooking, the final whistle comes. From behind, I hear this sound, Vanakkam. Can you imagine in an area called Zanskar where no human beings come, and it took us so many days in that river and everything, and that kind of no right, left, center, anything. Can I imagine Vanakkam? So I'm sitting this way. So in my head is my husband knows I'm brought up in Delhi, so he won't say Vanakkam to me, and my son also is not the one who will suddenly come and say Vanakkam, and I'm literally thinking who's pranking. I turned behind, and for a few seconds I couldn't believe my eyes because this is a young guy from Anna University. You can see his board. It says Leh Ladakh to Kanyakumari. He's on a cycle. I mean, we had a tough time on Scorpio, and I took every damn thing. I took my kitchen vessel, everything. If you had asked me to stay back there another 10 years, I could have survived. But this guy, can you see, he's got nothing. And I'm like, how the hell? And he looks at me, Akka, samekkirீங்களா? I'm like, see, first me, who are you? What happened? How the hell you ended up here? Somebody dropped you in a helicopter. And he said, he's a tailor's son. Tailor's son from Anna University. Just that during COVID, everything went online, and this guy realized, system lo ukandu onnu kathukodu. So he said there was a break. And then he asked his parents, can I do something different? And the parents didn't know what is different. So they said, உனக்கு என்ன பாப்பு சரியா தோணுதோ பண்ணு. So this guy said, கொஞ்ச நாளைக்கு நான் வெளியே போயிட்டு வரேன். எங்க போறேன்னு சொல்லு. அப்புறமா இந்தியா சுத்தி பார்க்க போறேன். So the mother said, காசு இல்லையப்பா என்ன பண்ணுவே? Like, little bit something. He said, அதெல்லாம் தேவையில்லை. Water bottle அந்த மாதிரி திங்ஸ்லாம் வாங்கினா போதும். சைக்கிள்ல போயிட்டு வரேன். So what will the mother imagine? Chengalpet, Kanchipuram. Right? And this guy is come, and what has happened is he's got this one kutti phone, and we showed you the river thing, right? It was difficult for us to cross. So we are going back, and this guy is going forward. So that particular crossing, the river stream was so heavy. Whatever basic this guy has got also has all gone. It is very difficult even in a Scorpio to cross. And this guy is fallen down. He doesn't know when he fell down, whatever happened. When he got him in the morning. And that's what, there's a calling, right? There's this sound, there is this, kind of thing where you can realize that you have so much of intelligence and there is something beyond just our logic, right? And he only had this thing of saying, I have nothing, I have no water, regain consciousness. And the only thing was, at least behind there is nobody. See, you can see, like you saw those trails, right? If I stand here, every half an hour my vehicle will stop. And I stand here only to watch, at least next to 1 hour, because you can see it, you can see those trails and you can know if there's a vehicle. So this guy only knew that he has to cross this side. He was pedaling and coming, at least looking for water. Look at his sheer thing. He looks at a tea and bagel of all things. And in his view is any dacoit or anything like that. And then suddenly he sees a lady and a child and he's like, right? And when he comes is exactly when my pressure cooker is done. So that's the time we sat down and we ate. Right? And as entrepreneurs, as whoever we are, I think we take a lot of...
Who took this photo?
This is my husband. I mean, he took the picture. He's also there. He's in this set. So, yeah. So we are about 4 or 5. That's my son. And you know that we take so much back here in the world about how we have to think, how we have to do. But this is not one. You know, if I go into the stories, but this is definitely a story because it's from Chennai. You can't imagine a Chennai kid come all the way and yet be supported. You know, we say that, right? Like, you go this much and the universe will come that much. There is a possibility I may not have stopped. Zanskar is so huge. I could have crossed by and I would not have noticed this guy. I stopped where I was stopping. I was cooking and he was coming. Like, it was literally I was cooking for this guy. So the kind of effort we put, we need logic and we need the other side. We need the heart and we need the mind. We need the kind of anxiety we need to get things done, but we need the calm to let it happen. So I think Himalayas is truly classroom without walls, where every single person sees and learns something way beyond we always know. So for me, even the same stretch I go back, same people also, my team is same, still the experience will be different. It's not the same. So I mean, there's so much I can go on. If you are interested, please do connect on Instagram or Facebook. There's so much you keep. So I basically write stories about all these things and things that I get insights on. Don't want to take more time, but it's very much accessible. It's just in the head. You can, as I said, land. There are some families who said I can only take the flight. Road suit they've created that. So you can land and reach Himalayas in 20 minutes, or you can take 20 days. It's like a wide ocean. It depends on what you take it with, but it is possible to taste it. It's not necessary you have to do it with me, because for me this is, of course, it is you're entrepreneurs and you want it to be self-thriving, but this is not about business. It's about the opportunity to be in a classroom where things are so different, because you are the teacher and Himalaya is the facilitator. We are just the logistics people. So in any way that you can, please do explore. If you have a little one, older one, you can take your inner little one also, but just go taste. You'll have it. Only thing is, just go a little beyond the touristy side, because the touristy side is like a mount road in the mountains. So except that, if you go to a Shimla, you will never ever touch Himalayas again. So in a Kepia, any conference also like, no, not like. So there are places like that. Please choose the ones where you really connect with the raw parts. Thank you so much for having me here.
Wow.
You've done 40 trips in the last 10 years.
So these are the different kinds of groups, like not 40 more. Like, so this is our car. Like, you park it in the evening and morning you get up, you have to do cleaning. Like, so this car and the current one, the other, like all our cars have just. So you see the recycling, bottles converted into plates.
Look this is.
Yeah, 40 now we have kind of lost. Any questions?
So how frequently is this particular trip Himalaya calling?
Now we are actually structuring it, because as you know, the district secretary role, I can't be off and on any time, so we're kind of doing it one per quarter. But we can still do it because I have a team and I may not be able to go every.
So what is,
At least every quarter we have one. So next one is Everest Base Camp that we do every year in May, April or May.
And what is the duration of the trip?
Again, can be tweaked. You can do 4 days, you can do 5 days, you can do 7 days, depending on the group, the age group, the kind of people, and the number of days we curate the place.
So if we want to have a real experience, so what will be the minimum recommended days? Number of
Minimum
days.
3, because it takes that 1 day for you to acclimatize and settle, and the next day. But in between, at least you need 2 nights. So minimum 3. But
Will not be
really
sufficient.
Want to start getting a taste of the thing 5. 5 at least. I'm sure in so many 52 weeks, 5 days is not difficult.
Yeah.
So anybody can make up.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.